Today everything should be back to normal.
Should be, yep. Looking
good. We have looking good Andrew Wong.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Thank you very much. I'll take my compliments where I can get them. They're far and few between.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
what's going on?
Yep.
Undersecretaries and political assistants are off to Beijing and Hubei this time.
Oh.
Yeah, I think some of our regular viewers remember that we sent off a number of the civil servants who were off recently. They went to Beijing and Tianjin. And now it's the turn for the undersecretaries, political assistants. Once again, they're going to be in Beijing. They're going to get some schooling at the Chinese Academy of Governance. Yet again, now down at Harbor Times, you know, when you remember we had the LegCo counselors that went off to Japan and Taiwan. We approached them and said, "Hey guys, tell us what you learned. Tell us what you thought was interesting that might work in Hong Kong." Right?
And they didn't.
And no, they did. The LegCo guys were great. We had about
the LegCo guy did.
LegCo guy's great. Very, very cooperative.
But the bureaucrats didn't.
The bureaucrats didn't. And, you know, we're still thinking, okay, maybe they're slow and they'll come back to us. But I'm not sure. They did have a little bit of a press announcement, but it was pretty like...
All right.
It said really
So the civil servant didn't.
Right.
And the legislature has been very open.
Not yet.
And political appointees are in between.
Yes.
So did they respond to Harbor Times and accept interviews?
We're gonna ask them. So this is something, you know, again, we're always about looking ahead. So we are gonna towards the end of the week, we will put out the request and be very interested to see what kind of impressions they had, because, you know, you look at it, this is like the second time in 3 weeks that we've sent it big, and these are big groups, 15, 16 of our most influential people in the government, and they keep going to this China governance, you know, and I think that, you know, it's on taxpayer dime, these are what our officials are up to. I think people have, there's definitely a public interest here, as we see in the media business. And I think that people want to know what they're up to, what it is they're learning, because, you know, ideally this is going to impact how they run Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And if it's black box kind of stuff, you know, it kind of makes one raise an eyebrow, thusly.
Yeah. I think the key is that, well, I'm not surprised that a lot of the bureaucrats, especially senior ones, are being relatively quiet about their trips to Beijing. I mean, it's in the nature not to be very open anyway.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I'm not surprised the legislators being a chatterbox all the time will be very open to talk about what they have seen in the overseas trip. And now we have this new breed of politicians called the political appointees, in particular the undersecretaries and also the political assistants. Yeah. It will be very much interesting to know between the black box and the chatterbox, what kind of box can they make. Yeah. Well, I will pick the keyword black box for today. Yeah. But I really think, and I would really urge these political appointees to think out of the box and find a new way to engage the public and engage the media about what they have learned. I mean, they are the most suitable person to speak, let's say, on behalf of both the Hong Kong and the government as a whole. Yeah. What the Hong Kong people think. They can express their views to the Chinese authority. And on the other hand, they can also collect the views of what they have seen and heard in China. And tell us, and not necessarily only tell the bureaucrats. Yeah, inside the bureau.
If the bureaucrats, like I said, they might still get back to us, but I'm not holding my breath. I hope they do. But maybe, as you say, the undersecretaries and political assistants have a little bit more freedom in having a voice, and they can tell us what's going on up at the Chinese Academy of Governance.
All right, so they don't need to be a black box, and they don't need to be a chatterbox. Let's see what kind of box they are.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good, Vincent.
Thank you.
Cheers.